They claim the president overstepped his bounds when he bypassed Congress in this case. Joining me today is former ICE Attorney John Gihon. Always good to see you, John. Appreciate you coming in today.
Morning, John. Great to be here.
All right, let's start with this. The Supreme Court ruling is expected possibly in June. What does this mean for the president? Is it good or is it bad news for him?
This is great news for the president, John, because since November 2014, when the president came out with this plan, the federal courts had put it on ice, basically, back last spring in 2015, and so nothing has happened, and they were really thinking that this plan that the president came out with was never going to see the light of day. So the Supreme Court picking it up and saying, yes, we're going to look at this and even possibly overturn the lower court and let this plan happen. It's absolutely great news for the president.
Okay, if the Supreme Court, though, rules in favor of the president, it's going to look bad on the lower courts. A lot of people say, so what? What does that mean for the lower courts? Anything?
Yes, I think it absolutely does. If the Supreme Court rules that the lower court overstepped its bounds in striking down the president's actions, then it's really going to be a signal from the Supreme Court of the United States to the lower court saying, don't get involved in these political arguments. When the states are suing the federal government over political issues that need to be decided at the ballot box, don't get involved in this kind of stuff. We saw with Obamacare, the Supreme Court struck down the lower court's rulings against Obamacare and said, no, it needs to go forward. We need to let this happen.
John, I like having you here because we hear so many of these immigration stories. It gets confusing. People say, well, what exactly does this mean? So if the U.S. Supreme Court rules with the president, what does that mean for illegal immigrants here in Florida, elsewhere in the country? You dealt with this every day. What's the bottom line on this story?
Bottom line is, if the Supreme Court rules with the president, we're going to have between 4 and 5 million people who are in the United States without status who are going to be able to apply for a promise from the government saying, we're not going to deport you, we're going to give you a work permit, and you're going to be able to get a driver's license in pretty much any state. And that can go forward for as long as the president is in office.
Does that mean anything for cases down the road, or is it just the cases that have been in the lower court so far?
No, this could be for anyone who is in the United States without status. If you qualify under these new programs, meaning you have a United States citizen child, you've been here long enough, and you don't have a serious criminal record, you're going to be able to qualify for these programs.
All right, John Gihon. He writes and tweets a lot about this. John, how can people follow you? I know you're out there on Twitter and Facebook. How can they follow you?
Absolutely, John. I'm at John Gihon on Twitter, and we have I don't have a Facebook page directly, but our office has one.
All right, lots of great insight. John, thanks so much. Good to see you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, John.
Amy.